There was a statue erected on a wooden column where I lived.
There were these articles written on the column: I am every task to which knowledge has been given. At first my work was open to everyone, but then I hid my art so that it could be found again by someone as wise as me. On the chest of the statue, there were the following inscriptions written in the ancient language: If anyone is curious about the secrets of beings and their creation, let him look under my feet. Everyone came to see this statue, and they wouldn't look at their feet and find nothing, and I was a little boy then.
But when he grew up and got stronger, I read the inscription on his chest.
And I understood its meaning. I immediately started digging under the column and found a dark passage under the ground that no sunlight entered. It was in vain to attempt to light a torch here, because the wind blowing constantly did not allow it. I could not enter the place I discovered because of the darkness. And the power of the wind did not allow the light to burn. When I fell into an uneasy sleep, an old man whose face looked like me appeared in front of me and called out to me as follows: Get up, Belonus, and go underground. This path will lead you to the secret of creation, and you will see how nature is formed. When he said that the darkness does not allow anything, the light does not withstand the wind, he then called out to me like this:
Put your light in a transparent container. Thus, it will be protected from the wind.
And he said he would enlighten you in the dark. These words filled my soul with donkey.
And I felt that I would achieve my desire. Who are you? I called out, to whom I was grateful for this great favor.
I am your creator. The Perfect One said. I woke up in joy at that moment. I put the light in a transparent container as he told me.
And I went underground. There I saw an old man sitting on a golden throne, holding an emerald tablet in his hand.
And it was written on the tablet that the existence of nature is here.
And in the book in front of him, it was written that the secret of the creation of all that exists and the science of the causes of everything are here.
I bought this book fearlessly, and I got out of here. I have learned everything that is written in the book, the secret of the creation of all that exists. I have understood how nature exists. And I have gained access to the knowledge of the causes of everything. My knowledge has made me famous. I learned about talismans and extraordinary things. I got to know the combinations of the four elements, their attraction, repulsion. And on the emerald tablet that the whale found, it said the following: It is true without any lies. It is certain and very real that what is below is like what is above. What is above is the same as what is below, and together they perform the miracle of one thing. And everything has come from the thought that it comes from the One. So everything came out of this One by adapting. The sun is his father. The moon is her mother. The wind carried him on its belly. The earth has fed the earth. This is the father of all the power in the world.
His power is enough for everything if he returns to the earth.
You will separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the thick. This must be a great skill. It will rise from the earth to the sky. And it will land again. And he will take the power of what is above and what is below, and with it the victory of the whole world will be yours. For this, all the darkness will be removed from you.
This is the strongest of all forces. Because this is how he was created in the world, to overcome everything, to enter into every solid thing.
Admirable forms have come out of this. The environment of these is here.
That is why I am called the 3 times great every generation, because all 3 parts of the philosophy of the whole world belong to me.
Thus ends and completes what I have said about the doings of the sun. These texts written on the emerald tablet were written by each Mesterus Megissus, and it is considered one of the most mysterious texts in the world. Deck. The first written records are found in the book called the Secret Book of Creation, written by Balanus, and later they were found in the Secret of Secrets of His Holiness Abdul Qadir Gailani. It was translated into Latin by Johannes Despelentius in 1140. In the 14th and 14th centuries, it was interpreted by the alchemist Ortolus under the name of the Secret of Hermes. It is said that deep philosophy and alchemy were born and developed from these texts. So who is this Hermes? My research has taken me to very deep places. As I researched more, I came across very interesting results. In fact, this topic needs to be studied in great detail and in depth. Therefore, you can accept this video as an introduction.
Now sit back and come accompany me on this mysterious journey. This ancient personality who has left his mark on many civilizations throughout history is known as Tot, the god of wisdom of ancient Egypt.
He passed into Greek mythology as Hermes, the founder of Buddhism, Buddha, Enki in the ancient Mu civilization, the Sumerians, Eno in the Jews, Noah in the Hebrews, and this person in the Islamic geography. This person is the prophet Idris mentioned in the Noble Quran. The common point of these names encountered in every advanced civilization of the ancient period is that they are all the same person, but due to different cultures and languages, each nation has mentioned them according to its own culture. According to Islamic sources, Hazrat Idris is the 3rd prophet after the prophet, the son of Hazrat Adam. He was the first to inform Noah of the flood before the prophet Noah. And 30 pages of revelation came to him in this book, and there was all the knowledge.
The prophet Idris is known as the Piri of tailors, because he produced the first fabric and taught people to dress by sewing dresses from this fabric. Before that, people were covered with animal hides. He was also the founder of many other sciences and professions such as carpentry, construction, pottery making, medicine and chemistry, mathematics, botanical science, iron processing, natural sciences, sky science and geometry.
Some sources mention that Hazrat Idris taught people to build a city, and it is rumored that he founded more than 100 cities, and also the first post after the prophet Adam was written by the prophet Idris. This information was given to him by Allah. The most remarkable science that Prophet Idris possessed is his profound knowledge in the field of astronomy. According to this, he was taught the most sensitive, the most subtle details about the sky movements and the stars, the calculation of years and months according to the stars, and the influence of planets on people according to their positions were also among the sciences given to him. And even the following statements in the Masnavi decrees about this topic are quite remarkable.
Idris was from the genus of stars. For him, he stayed in Zuhul for 8 years. Zuhul became his friend in the east and in the west.
He probably talked to her. He became privy to her secrets. When he came back to the world after he disappeared, he would give lessons about the knowledge of the nucleus on Earth. The stars would set up beautifully pure in front of him. They would be in his lesson. All the people of some degree of inferiority and elevation heard the sounds of the stars. The kind of fading pull attracted the stars all the way to the earth, brought him to him. Each star opened and told him its own name, how to observe its state. Idris prophet taught this knowledge to the people of the time. The people of that period and later civilizations would use this information by developing it. Abel and Cain, one of the sons of the prophet Adam, fall into disagreement because of a woman. And Cain kills his brother Abel. Cain takes his head and goes far away. And he builds a new life for himself, and then he has a lot of children.
And it turns into a large community. He does not recognize the commandments and prohibitions of Islam. And they get out of the way more. Thus, the prophet Idris is sent to Kabiliglu as a warner, and he conveys to them the instructions given to the prophet Shid and tells them to believe. Do not worship the fire. Do not drink wine. He said, do not commit adultery. Of these, he forbade them, but few of these people confirmed Idris. They did not stop worshipping fire, and they were not subject to Idris. It is said that the societies that are presumed to be the continuation of these tribal children are the Mu and Atlantean civilizations, which are claimed to have existed before the flood of Noah. Today, dozens of books have been written about the civilization of Mo and the civilization of Atlantis. The legendary western continent Atlantis was a future society in terms of development. The first to mention this civilization is the famous philosopher Plato, also known as Magenta. Plato speaks highly of this civilization. The Atlantic was a rich country. The land was fertile, the mines were abundant. Especially gold and silver mines were obtained a lot. The people were very hard-working. The soil was worked one by one. Large structures, palaces and temples were built in the cities. Each of the small islands around the island was connected by bridges. Plato described Atlantis in a rich way. In our recent history, the person who spoke about this civilization was Colonel James Charcher. In his book The Lost Continent, he has studied the subject in depth and made many claims. While on a mission in India, he meets a senior temple priest and tells him about ancient clay tablets written in the Naga Maya language. And he shares ancient information about them with Churchill. The author then makes a long examination on these tablets. It also decodes the language on the tablet. The result he has reached is extremely surprising. Because the tablets suggest that the place where the first human appeared is the Mo civilization, according to the author, the continent of Mo dates back 70,000 years. But as a result of natural disasters, it was buried in the waters 12,000 years ago along with its 64 million population, and there are even many claims that this destruction could be the flood of Noah. According to this, the Atlantean civilization, ancient Egypt, Mayan civilization, Easter Island, India, Central America, Babylon and many other great civilizations were an extension of the Mo civilization. The proof of this was that the megalithic architectural structures used in civilizations were built almost exactly the same way. In addition, the common use of bird and sun symbols in these civilizations also strengthens the claim that these civilizations are an extension of the Mu civilization. Also, those who managed to escape from the continent went to the nearest regions. In the inscriptions found in China and in some regions, our continent has sunk. So we ran away here, it says. These written records were found to be approximately 14,000 years old according to carbon-14 tests, and the king of Mu was referred to as Ra. Again, the fact that there was a god of ancient Egypt, Ra, in the definition used for the sun in the Rapa language, was a reflection of a common belief according to Churchill. The belief in reincarnation prevailed in the Mu civilization. That meant being reborn with another body after death. Based on this belief, it is still possible to see it somewhere like India. In fact, the expression Ra refers to the first two syllables of the names of Allah, the Merciful and the Merciful. However, past societies have attributed this expression to the creative figure they believe in, making it a perverted form of understanding and belief. We also see traces of the figure of Hermes in the ancient Mayan civilization. According to legend, one day a stranger comes to Yucatan with 19 friends. And he will live here for 10 years. During his stay, he commands people to do good and advises them to stay away from evil, leaves them as a law and leaves the city one morning. This person's name is Quetzalcoatl. The Mayans, on the other hand, speak of this person as follows. He had come from the unknown land of the rising sun, had a white dress and had a beard. He taught people science, art and customs. He had made very wise laws. The corncobs under his supervision would be as tall as a man, and the cottons would grow in color. Then, after finishing his mission here, he went by boarding the ship that would take him to the morning star on the seashore. Do not miss that the Prophet Idris was the one who invented fabric and the connection in the colorful growing of cottons. The Mayan civilization is an ancient civilization with a history of thousands of years. Just like in ancient Egypt, they built pyramids with very precise calculations. They have risen to an advanced level of civilization in astronomy, mathematics, architecture and art. The pyramids that were built are still standing intact as if they were newly built, and they also knew how to write. They were writing painted texts on inverted tablets or papers made from the bark of fig trees, information that the Mayans had, information that was beyond the time they were present. For example, they calculated the solar year they used as a calendar with only 17 seconds of error according to modern astronomy, and they also knew the Venusian year with a precise calculation. The Mayans calculated the Venusian year as 584 days. The calculation reached with today's technology is 583,92, and this civilization, which has not yet recognized the wheel, has made extremely precise astronomical observations. They have made diagrams of the movements of the moon and planets. They have been able to predict solar eclipses in advance. The magnificent monuments that the Mayans built were determined according to a number or calendar. These buildings, which seem to be eerie, bear the traces of an amazing architecture and a perfect calendar, revealed by precise measurements. In addition, the researchers discovered that quartz crystals and a filter made of zeolite were used in the construction of the system that cleaned one of the main water sources of the ancient Mayans. Quartz and zeolite, which remove harmful microbes and heavy metals such as aluminum in the water, are also used in modern water filtration systems used today. How did these people get this information? The Mayans were not as primitive in the field of health as we thought. For example, they could even make dental fillings, for example. It was even discovered that they filled the teeth carved in some ruins with precious stones. They had even performed prostate surgery and a type of brain surgery called trephination. We were able to access the information we had thanks to modern technology. However, this civilization did not even use wheels. but they were able to access a lot of information that we have just discovered. In fact, the observations made were made so accurately that it has even been suggested that the Mayans may have received this information from extraterrestrials. The Mayans left magnificent structures and impressive artifacts that have survived to this day. And no matter where you look, what we will see as a result will be an advanced civilization, and this civilization also believed that humanity has existed for a very long time. And according to Islamic belief, the flood event that took place during the reign of Prophet Noah, so could the spiritual leaders of the Mayans who suddenly came one day be the source of all this development, Quetzalcoatl. The Mayan civilization is an interesting and unusual topic in itself. We can do a detailed study for this. But let's move on now. Another civilization that lives beyond time is ancient Egypt. About this civilization countless claims and unusual theories are being put forward. As with the Mayans, they had unusual knowledge in ancient Egypt. Even some of the information used today also bears traces of past civilizations. For example, it is said that the French discovered the meter, but measuring in meters belongs to the Egyptian civilization. The ancient Egyptians learned that the diameter of a drop of water is 1 inch. This knowledge was taught to the ancient Egyptians by Tot, i.e. Hermes, i.e. the prophet Idris. They also knew the number pi. I mean, long before Archimedes, but what about the golden ratio? You know, the magic number that scientists today call the creator's signature. Because you can encounter this number everywhere in civilization, there is also a visual called the light found in the Dendera temple complex. This image is now seen by many theorists as the ancestor of modern light bulbs used today. The fact that there are no traces of footprints in the temples and pyramids in any way is cited as evidence for this. The Baghdad battery, which is thought to be more than 2,000 years old, shows that electricity can be stored during the periods we call primitive. This information informs us of the existence of a lost technology used in the past period that we have not yet understood. According to legend, the ancient Egyptian god comes from Atlantis, the colony of the Atlantean Totmu civilization. And again he establishes the Egyptian civilization, which is an extension of the Atlantean civilization. Tot, who first built a temple in Sais, transfers all his knowledge to people. In the famous Egyptian Book of the Dead, he is referred to as the Lord of the Divine Word and the owner of divine secrets. Tot, the god of wisdom, is depicted as a ibis bird. He is depicted as a god with a pen in his hand and recording everything. The civilization of Mo had a writing system based on symbols, while the god of wisdom, Tot, came from Atlantis. Atlantis is a colony of the Mu civilization. All the sophistication of ancient Egypt came from the western continent of Atlantis. In other words, Idris learned from the prophet, that is, the inventor of writing. He taught ancient Egyptian society many other knowledge such as the movements of the stars, medical science, mathematics, geometry, art, botanical science, magic, architecture and alchemy. In other words, the person who taught all professions and science has become a Tot. In short, all the knowledge of ancient Egypt was taught by Tot, and it is even said that he invented a musical instrument called liv. According to everything told in the eulogies, King Tot also solved the secret of being immortal and therefore left Egypt, saying that he had to leave Egypt. and what they advise when they leave is quite meaningful. I am leaving you now, know my orders. Protect them and be them. And I'll be with you too. I will help you on your way to the light. Now the passage opens in front of me. And I go into the darkness of the night, and in Islamic sources, the departure of the Prophet Idris is from Idrisi in the book. Because he was a very faithful prophet, we raised him to a high position. It is explained by its expression. The wise King Tot has written thousands of books. One of these books is a book that provides unlimited information. It is said that this book, which everyone wants to achieve, contains the science of talking to animals, intermental travel, telepathy, communication with the dead, secrets about the sea, air and celestial bodies, various talismans and the most effective magic science. The appearance of decoys described in Surat al-Shuara in the Decalogue shows that the ancient Egyptians used magic and chemistry together and had this knowledge. As a matter of fact, this event is described as follows in the Quran Karim. Moses said to them, "What horse will you throw?" So they threw down their ropes and their staffs and said, "By the might of Pharaoh, surely we will prevail." Then Moses threw down his staff. And what should they see? He swallows what they invented, and the magicians immediately fell prostrate. Some commentators attributed this to the fact that Pharaoh's snakes move like a snake at room temperature with a chemical compound called bolt. They had already realized and believed that the snakes of the prophet Moses were real when the staff of the prophet Moses, which turned into a snake, swallowed them. So all these sciences and many more were taught to the Egyptians by Top from Atlantis. For this reason, the people of ancient Egypt raised the sage with these superhuman characteristics to the highest position they could raise. And they saw him as God Tot. This ancient wisdom of the prophet Idris has been admired by many civilizations, and he has passed into Greek mythology as Hermes. And similar stories are told, as in other civilizations. He invented units of measurement, astronomy, and notes. And he's a very wise man. Every Mestirus Megistus because of his teachings. That is, he is referred to as the thrice blessed Hermes. The Romans, on the other hand, always referred to Mercury as Mercury. Long before the Hellenistic era, the Greeks, that is, the ancient Greeks, settled in Egypt, where they often came for trade purposes. They were very impressed by the level of development of Egypt. The information they had was amazing. Here they were always associated with Tot, the god of wisdom of ancient Egypt. Thus, towards the end of the Hellenistic era, each Mestirus Megistus, that is, began to be referred to as the Great 3 times. The priests of ancient Egypt were able to solve the mystery of nature thanks to the teachings of Hermetic Greek philosophy, and the basis of Greek philosophy is also based on Egypt. Plato mentions that the founder of arithmetic, algebra, geometry, writing and many other sciences is the Egyptian god of wisdom Tot, and it is also said that Plato, Herodotus and Pythagoras had the descent in ancient Egypt. It is even said that Plato had a special education in Egypt for 13 years, Pythagoras for 23 years, and Prophet Moses was a member of the Pharaoh's family. For this reason, hidden secrets had also been taught to him. And that was among the things that happened. Top secrets were taught here. Of course, it was not easy to access the secret of secrets and it was a laborious process. The situation of becoming would be as follows. The process of students who want to access the secret of secrets is the situation of being methodically trained by a master with disciplined and strict rules. This process is referred to as initiation, while those who have completed their education would be. Of course, this was not an education given to everyone. The student who wanted to become an initiate came to the high priest waiting inside the temple and was told that these are the things that the Atlantean priest taught Saw and his students also delivered to us. The secret teaching door is here. Stranger, take a good look at these two columns. The red one symbolizes the ascension of a person towards the Oculus light, and the black one symbolizes the confinement of a person in the material. He who wants to reach the hidden secrets puts his life on the line. What the weak will get is death. The reward that awaits the powerful is immortality. Many passionate people have entered through this door, but none of them have come out alive. Think carefully, and keep in mind the dangers that await you. If you don't have the courage, stop trying. Once this door is closed on you, it won't open again. If you're afraid, you can come back with us without going in. According to the Italian philosopher Patrizzi, all philosophical interpretations of the ancient Greeks came from Hermetic philosophy. According to this, Pythagoras, mystical mathematics, Plato's ethical understanding and theological opinion were taken from the works of Aristotle and the physics of suffering, Hermetic philosophy. He even said that if Hermetic philosophy is not a departure from Greek, that is, ancient Greek philosophy, then it is certain that ancient Greek philosophy is a departure from Hermetic philosophy, and the prominent features of each Christ in Greek mythology are as follows. The instructive thing is that he has a very wise, prophetic and guardian personality, as in the narratives, he is mentioned with the flood of Noah, or it is said that he lived after the flood of Noah. The most striking feature is that he did not die and rose to a higher position. They think like Faret and Razi and Biruni. He suggested that Buddha, the spiritual leader of this series religion, could also be the prophet Idris. The famous Islamic historian Tabari, on the other hand, said that the Idrisi of the Ibranus and the Idrisi of the Muslims are the same people. The fact that the figure of Hermes is from the first people before the flood of Noah, and that one person teaches all the sciences in all sources and has a wise personality, is proof in a sense that civilization started from one place. With a superhuman oratory and instructive identity, all civilizations have raised this identity to the highest position that they can glorify according to their own cultures. And then they adopted the idea that this person could be God and gave him the title of divinity, whereas Hazrat Idris was a prophet. And he was obliged to teach what he was taught. And he continued this task until he reached the age of 365. And then, as a result of his friendship with Azrael alayhissalam, he made 3 requests from Azrael. These requests were to taste what death is like. His second wish was to see hell. And finally, he wanted to see heaven, and after entering heaven, he never wanted to return. As a matter of fact, this situation is reported as follows in the Quran Karim. O Muhammad, remember what we have said about Idris in the book, because he was a truthful prophet. We raised him to a high place. O Muhammad Ismail Idris, from what we have told about Dhul Kif. Every one of them was one of the steadfast. We have added them to our mercy. Indeed, they were among the righteous, from which we understand that the Prophet Idris was one of the prophets who were raised to Allah before he died. What advanced civilizations left behind when we examined, the same engineering and methods were used in all civilizations. The fact that these civilizations built pyramids in almost the same period in each corner of the world, had extremely complex information such as sky movements, and that they all met in a single figure shows that information comes from a single source. In other words, human beings, as we have been taught, have never been primitive. They have lived their lives at the highest level of that period according to the technology and sophistication of their period. Otherwise, it is necessary to explain how these primitive civilizations found and used structures designed according to extremely precise calculation and stellar sciences all over the world, mathematics, architecture, and many complex knowledge that we cannot count, because many sciences that seem to have been found today bear traces of ancient people of the past. For example, today a new article about the benefits of aspirin is published almost every month, and aspirin is obtained from a willow tree. However, this knowledge was possessed by the Sumerians who lived 4,000 years ago. I would like to remind you that the figure of Hermes is remembered as the most important in the Sumerians. In short, Hazrat Idris, who has been referred to by different names in every civilization, has left deep traces with the works he left, and during the period he lived, the ancient history of the world is full of secrets. What remains to us from ancient civilizations has an impressive wisdom. The fact that it is commemorated in all civilizations shows us that this personality instilled in civilization and laid its foundations. No matter which civilization you look at, it's from Hermes. In other words, you will find traces of the Prophet Idris. We've come to the end of another video until we meet in a new study. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye. Subscribe to the channel if you like the video.